back to my channel and to another reading vlog. This vlog is actually going to have a theme. Normally I just read randomly, but there's a series I've actually wanted to read for a while. And it's a completed trilogy as well, which is always a bonus because I don't have to wait on any sequels to come out. And I've actually already read the first book, but I'm going to reread it because I haven't read it since I think November 2022. So 2.5 years, more than 2.5 years, and that is the Little Thieves trilogy. There's 3 books. There's Little Thieves, which I've read, and then there's Painted Devils and Holy Terrors. All I remember from this series is it's a Goose Girl retelling, which I've actually read a few Goose Girl retellings, and the main character, she basically is like, she steals this princess's identity and like lives as this princess, but on top of this she also like steals jewels to make money on the side, and then one day she like steals the wrong pair of jewels and this god gets really mad at her and basically curses her to eventually turn into jewels herself. And on top of all this there's like an investigator who basically is really suspicious of her and doesn't believe that she is this princess. So all of these things kind of come together and cause a lot of chaos, and I just remember really loving this book. I gave it 5 stars, and I actually listened to it on audiobook, and this time I'm going to read it physically because I want to see if it's something I would enjoy even more reading it physically. And then also like people really seem to love the sequels, so that gives me a lot of hope that I'm gonna absolutely love this trilogy, so we'll see. I'm actually about to go into Glasgow today and I'm just gonna go to Waterstones and just chill in the cafe to read my book. I just like to do that on free days that I have. It just motivates me to read more than like reading in the house, so I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna bring you along with me. I also have a few parcels of books that I've sold on Vinted that I have to drop off at the post office, so I'm gonna do that before I head into town. Kind of colour coordinated pens to the covers of the books on the inside so I don't get them mixed up, because I have to ship 3 separate orders out in the one go. So in terms of an update on Little Thieves, I got just about 55 pages in while I was in Waterstones, and now my memory's kind of been refreshed and I remember a bit more about the synopsis of this book, because the way I pitched it earlier, it was basically all I remembered from when I read it 3 years ago. But yeah, she was a servant to the princess and then somehow managed to steal the princess's identity. We don't really know how she did that at this point yet. But then she uses her connections as princess to steal jewellery from the nobles because she wants to earn enough money to buy her way out of this situation, because basically she's connected to the gods of fortune and death, because when she was a baby her mum was basically desperate and fled into the forest and came across these 2 gods, and they basically said that we'll watch over Vanya if the mum basically sacrifices her life and gives up her daughter Vanya to these gods. So basically she's trying to buy her way out of this situation, but she kind of gets caught out a little bit at the start of the book where she accidentally steals jewellery that was given to the nobles by another god. And this god is very mad that she stole this set of jewels, so she basically curses Vanya. She gives her basically 2 weeks before she will turn into a set of jewels herself unless she makes amends, and she doesn't really know how she's going to do that yet. And then on top of it all, this investigator has basically been put on the case to try and figure out where all these jewels have gone missing and who's been behind all the robberies. He's kind of suspicious of her as well. My memory has been refreshed a bit, and honestly I love this book so far. It's reminded me a lot of why I liked it in the first place. The main character has so much personality. I love Vanya so much. She's so funny. She's quite selfish as well, and I feel like we're going to see her grow, because I feel like the lesson she's going to learn is what's going to save her life. Because basically this god who was mad that she stole her jewels was basically like, you need to learn to not be so greedy. So I feel like that is a lesson she's going to learn throughout this book. Also, while I was at Waterstones, I realised I had £10 off because with Waterstones cards, you can basically get £10 off if you spend £100 basically, or earn 10 stamps, which a stamp equals £10, so £100. And I had £10 off, so I finally bought the edition of Wuthering Heights that I really wanted. This was like £15, so I did pay £5 for it, but that's better than paying 15 for it. So I now have this lovely edition of Wuthering Heights, which matches my copy of Jane Eyre and Dracula. And I'm just in love with these editions. They're so pretty and so like gothic. So I think I'm going to read this in the autumn time because I feel like that's the perfect vibe for I was going to say Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights. Also, I did mention I was going to drop some vintage parcels off, and I got to the post office, and my post office car park is literally a nightmare. It is tiny, and it's always really full. And I drove in, and there wasn't a single space. But also, in a very small center of the car park, there was like 2 cars just randomly parked there. So there was literally nowhere for me to get out of my car without me blocking like a junction. So I just did a 3-point turn and left. So I'm going to go back down tomorrow, but I'm going to walk so I don't have to deal with the parking situation, and then I can get rid of my vintage packages then. But yeah, I plan on getting through a little bit more of Little Thieves tonight, and I'll catch up with you when I have more to say about it. So it is a few days later, and I am officially halfway through Little Thieves. It's 500 pages and I'm on page 252, and I actually was going to try and get a good chunk of the way through this last night because the past 2 days before last night I was working and I just didn't have time to read. But then I was off yesterday and I ended up just not reading. But today I'm actually going to be really ambitious and try and get this book finished because I've been reading it since Wednesday, I think, and it's now Monday and I've not finished it yet, and I want to get on to the sequels. So I'm going to try and read the second half today. It's like 4 p.m. and I have basically all evening. Nothing really to do except make dinner, so hopefully I can get a good chunk of the way through this, if not finish it, and then I'm working tomorrow, but hopefully on Wednesday I can start the sequel, The Painted Devils, because yeah, this one is just a reread, but I remember so little of this. I'm now, as I said, halfway through, but I remember more about the start of it than the middle. Kind of just forgot about certain things that happened, and I honestly can't remember how it wraps up either, or where it goes from here, or anything about the ending. So I do feel like I'm reading it for the first time, and I'm actually really enjoying it. It's currently sitting at maybe a 4.5 to possibly 5 stars depending on how the second half goes, and I rated it 5 stars the first time round, but I did listen to it on audiobook, and I wanted to read it physically this time just to see if I would have any sort of different opinion on it. But yeah, so far I'm really enjoying it. I love the main character. The writing style is really funny. Like there's a lot of humour in it, which is actually nice and refreshing in a fantasy book, to be honest. The love interest as well, I really like him. He's not really a love interest yet, they're just kind of rivals just now because he's like the investigator who's trying to like uncover her act of deception. So she doesn't really like him yet, but there is something there. So yeah, my plan is to finish this today. I'm going to tidy my room first, and then I'm going to relax and read maybe like at least 100 pages before dinner, and then that means I only have 150 to read tonight. So hopefully I can do it. Little Thieves. I finished it 2 nights ago, and I'm going to give it a 4.25, I think. And I know I said I gave it 5 stars the first time round, but honestly looking back I probably would have rated it a 4.25 if I was being more honest I think I just wanted like a 5-star read because I did enjoy it so much and I just wanted to give it 5 stars, but looking back on it I definitely was just a bit too fair on it, I think. Yeah, this is definitely 4.25. I still really enjoyed it. I love the characters, especially the main character Vanya. I love the writing as well. It's quite quirky and funny, but also just like good quality. The only reason it's not a 5 is just more, I think it went on slightly too long. It's like 500 pages and also quite small font, so it is a long book. And then also I just enjoyed the first half more than the second half because the first half has tropes that I really like, and it's where the main character has this big secret or a secret identity, and she kind of gets caught out earlier than I would have hoped. Like the first 100 pages she kind of gets found out, and I wanted that to extend a bit, so the second half just wasn't really about that as much, and I was just slightly less interested, but still interested enough to give it over 4 stars. Overall, yeah, I did enjoy this and I'm excited for the sequels, which I'm actually about to pick up now. The second book is called The Painted Devils, and I read the synopsis when I finished Little Thieves 2 nights ago, but I can't really remember much. I just know the main character accidentally starts a cult. So who knows what this book's going to involve, but it sounds really good and people seem to love the 2 sequels, so I don't doubt that I'll like it too. So I haven't updated in a while, I think it's been a few days, and I actually finished Painted Devils last night and I think I'm going to give it a 4. I didn't love it as much as the first one, but I still did enjoy it. I think I did explain a bit of the plot. Sorry, the lighting's really bad here because I've got that big light behind me, but I think I explained a little bit. Basically, the main character Vanya, she was initially supposed to be going to this town with the love interest Emmerich and a bunch of their friends, but at the start she takes a detour to this other town because basically she has a mission to find her birth family, and she just didn't want to drag everyone else into it, and she basically snuck away. And then while she's in this town she accidentally fake summons a god basically, and everyone believes that this god is real and this cult forms around the god, and the main character kind of is the one who started it all, even though she doesn't even know if this god is actually real or not. And it basically gets her in a whole lot of trouble, and Emmerich, who is the love interest, he's also a like prefect investigator guy. He basically gets put on the case where it's his job to find out if she has committed fraud or not, and that's how their paths meet again. And I actually really enjoyed the romance in this. There was a lot of ups and downs, but at the same time that kind of makes sense for like the scenario that they were in. Like I don't think a couple would take too nicely to all like the dangers that they were in, so it makes sense that they were having issues. And this book ended like quite sad, I guess. Like a lot of bad stuff happened at the end, and now I have no idea where we're going to pick up in the third book. Like how is it all going to tie together and how's everyone going to make amends, because yeah, this book ended quite sadly. But the next book, which I'm going to start now, which is the longest of the 3, and considering how long it took me to read the first 2, I'm quite concerned about this, but hopefully I can commit to it because I have like 2 hours to read tonight, so I'm hoping to make a good chunk of the way through this. This is about 550 pages, so it's about 50 pages longer than the first 2. And all I know about this one is the main character has taken to, like in the first book I think I explained, she steals like jewels and stuff from the rich, and she has this secret identity as like, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but she has this nickname that people know her as, but she has taken up that role again. But also at the same time there's this killer going around the city, and her signature whenever she stole anything was to leave a red penny, and this serial killer has started doing that, so basically framing her, so everyone thinks that she's the killer but she's not, so she has to find out who the real killer is to kind of save her name, I guess. So I'm just excited to see where it's going to go from here, and hopefully it won't take me too long because it is very chunky. did go back to Waterstones today. I couldn't be helped. I had a free day. I just love going into their cafe, and I did not buy anything. I read 60 pages of my book and I didn't buy another book. I did buy something though. I know I just said I didn't buy anything, but I meant a book. So I didn't add to my TBR, but I did buy this like Moomin claw clip, which I actually have on my head right now. I don't know if you even saw that. That's going to be really embarrassing if you cannot see that on camera. But anyways, so that's what I bought today. And I'm almost halfway through Holy Terrors. I'm like on page 250 and halfway through is 275. So 25 more pages and I'll be halfway through. I hope to get through a really big chunk of this tonight and then hopefully finish it tomorrow afternoon. And I can wrap up the vlog there. I actually think this might be my favourite of the three, at least so far, because there's so much angst in this book. And I actually love it when a book can make me feel negative emotions, like on purpose, not because it's like bad writing or horrible characters, but more just the circumstances. Like, you're supposed to feel these negative emotions, and I love it when a book can make me feel that way. There's just so much angst in it. And remember how I said at the end of the second book, things were we kind of left it off on a bad note, and I didn't know how we were going to get things sorted out in this one. Well, I'm halfway through and I still don't know how things are going to get resolved. So, but I enjoy that. I think it's better. It's specifically to do with the main character and her relationship with the love interest. I prefer that than the characters getting together very easily and then they're just kind of boring for the rest of the series. There's actual drama between the two of them, and not just like some silly like third act miscommunication breakup. Like, it's actual problems. And I'm really enjoying it, and I'm also really enjoying the murder mystery aspect of this one. This one takes place back in the city and the palace that the first book took place in, so the second book just really does feel like an odd one out because they're travelling about in it and it just feels like kind of a random plotline. This one feels a lot more connected to the first one, and it's not necessarily a bad thing about the second book, but this is definitely like a return to form, I think, with what I liked about the first book. So I'm going to try and get as much of this done tonight, and then hopefully I'll finish it tomorrow and I'll update you on my final thoughts. Yes, I went to Waterstones again. Yes, I've been 3 times in this vlog. And what about it? It's an addiction at this point. I was going to wrap up my thoughts on the series because I finished the third book, but I actually can't find the first book anywhere. I've no clue where I put it. Okay, it's supposed to go here. Clearly I didn't put it back when I finished it, and now I have no idea where it's ended up. I'm actually going to have to go hunting for this book. Okay, it was literally in the pile of books I keep next to my bed. My bad. So, overall, I am going to give this series, I think, 4 stars, even though each individual book was kind of like 4.25. The first one at least was 4.25. I just feel like overall it's a solid 4-star series. There are things I really, really like about it, and then things not so much. I think my expectations were a little too high because from what I remembered about my enjoyment of this book, even though in hindsight I do think at the time it was still about a 4.25 when I first read it, because I was just being really optimistic, I guess, at the time, I did rate it 5 stars, so I kind of forgot that it wasn't really a favourite. So I kind of just had it in my head that this was a 5-star read and therefore the whole series was going to be 5 stars, but then upon rereading it made me realise it was about a 4.25 all along. And I feel like the sequels just weren't as strong as the first book. So yeah, the second book was definitely the weakest in my opinion. It just felt quite random in comparison to the other two. The other two were set in the same city with the same side characters and stuff like that, and similar plot points, I guess. The first one, she's trying to keep her identity as, I think she's called the Penny Phantom. She's trying to keep her identity as that a secret, whilst also kind of trying to uncover the corruption within the noble people and the royalty of this city. And then the third book it's still set in that city, and instead of it being about a corrupt king like the first one, this one's about a serial killer who's basically killing off all of the royalty. So there's still political corruption in the same like system as the first book, so those two feel connected, whereas the second book was just quite random. She goes to like a bunch of different towns and villages and like accidentally starts a cult. So this one definitely just felt really random to me, but I did like the character stuff that was in this one. And then as for the third one, I said it was my favourite when I first started it, and I do think the first half of this book is my favourite out of everything that I've read out of this series, but it did go downhill, and my issue with all three books is they're slightly too long. They get dragged out a bit in the middle and the end, and I always prefer the first half. So if there was like 50 to 75 pages of each cut from the middle of just kind of the repetitiveness, I would have been a bit more entertained by the plot, because the thing I loved the most about this series were the characters and the quirky writing, and just like the quality overall of the writing. It was just so funny and just good quality. The characters were entertaining. I was most invested in American Vanya in this one as well. There's a lot of angst in this one. I won't go into detail because this is non-spoiler, but something kind of gets in the way of them being together in this one, but mainly it's just down to their character flaws. They're all quite flawed characters in this series, which I also love, because I love it when they're still lovable but they are real and they have to work through it, which they mainly do in this one. They do a lot of like growing in this book, and yeah, just overall I like the series. I love the writing, and I will read anything else this author writes, because that was one of my favourite bits, was just the quirkiness of the writing. Also, I had another book show up in the post yesterday, and it's the Raven Boys graphic novel, which I am so excited about. This is my second favourite series of all time, only second to The Mirror Visitor, and I'm just so excited to relive this book, one of my favourite books of all time, just in graphic novel format. I get to see my favourite characters, which is really exciting. And also I'm going to do a reading vlog of this series, and where I'm going to reread it and probably do full spoilers, just so I can have something to rant at about the series, because I love it so much and I could talk for hours about even like a page from one of these books. So I'm going to do a reading vlog where I reread all 4 books. I don't know when though, because I last reread them in October 2024, so less than a year ago, so I'm going to wait till it's been at least a year. And another series I want to reread for a vlog is my favourite of all time series, The Mirror Visitor Quartet. So I'm going to do reading vlogs for both of those rereads, just so I can rant and ramble and probably be full spoilers as well. But let me know if you'd be interested in that, because I'm really excited about rereading them on camera. But yeah, that is the vlog. This vlog has been 2 weeks and 2 days in the making, but to be fair, I read just over 1,500 pages, so that's a lot. It was a 3-book chunky fantasy series, so the fact I did it in, well, actually I finished the book last night, so I did it in 15 days. So I feel like that's decent, but I hope this vlog turned out well. We'll see, but let me know if you enjoy this kind of content. I feel like my vlogs do a bit better than my sit down videos. I think people just find it more entertaining, and I myself, when I watch Booktube videos, I do find the vlogs more entertaining anyway. But let me know if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more vlogs, if you'd be interested in the Raven Cycle or the Mirror Visitor vlogs, because I think those will be really fun. Yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.